Amazon is a perfect example of the Western cultural decay. And I'm not using this word lightly. I just want you guys to go back to 2010. Use Google or any type of search engine that you can customize to search for a specific year and see the movies that came out in 2010. Now, I have no idea what actually came out, but I guarantee to you, if you compare to what came out last year, you will notice that there's a lot less sequels, prequels, or spin-offs, and most movies that would come out in 2010 are original production. They're filled with creativity. And we just don't get that anymore. Like every TV show, every major movie is usually a sequel. It's a prequel. It's a spin-off. It's based on a book. It's based on something, because the modern writers just are incapable of creating. They are capable of striking and bitching about the fact that they will be replaced by AI, but they just cannot create at all. And if you also look at the best motion pictures before 2010, you're going to notice that all of the movies, or at least almost all of them, that got the best motion picture award are famous movies that not only you know about, but when you're going to have a son, and he's going to be around the age of 16, you would enjoy watching those old movies with him, and you would probably find them entertaining. Like Lord of the Rings, for instance. Like that is one movie that got the best motion picture award. And it's something that if you watch again today, you would notice that it aged pretty well. And there's something that happened after 2016, and this is taboo. Like, you're not allowed to express it in American culture. They flat out refuse to acknowledge that ever since Wall Street got protested, and they have like the diversity initiative that is being spread throughout culture, entertainment has gone to shit. And there's many reasons for it. It's because diversity, inclusivity, and equity, they do not tolerate jokes. They want to sanitize everything. They want to artificially use race-based nepotism where it doesn't belong. And if you look at Amazon, for instance, they have a commitment to this shit. And every single time you bring it up, people say, no, it's not true. Like, no, obviously diversity does. It's like, okay, show me the counterexample. I want to see a movie that because you brought the diversity consultants in, it actually became a blockbuster and it went around the world. How many examples like that do you know? But I know like plenty examples where they make a remake of something that already exists and it's popular, and they change it and it's shit. And here you have like a lot of themes of the diversity stuff. Now you need to understand, right? Like when we say diversity, it means bringing consultants on board that have no experience in writing. Like they have a lot of experience in gender studies and understanding the theory and critical race theory and all of that shit. Like they know that, but they haven't published any books. Like they're not talented authors, but they are placed in executive positions on top of the talented writers. So if you're a writer that's like R.R. Martin or someone that's famous, someone that's renowned, you are now answering to this person that never published any meaningful writings, and they think they know how you should do your job. And if you actually look at the Amazon website, they even state there that, no, like, they want diversity even when it doesn't make sense. So, like, even if you make a historical movie, or even if you make something like Lord of the Rings, they need diversity in it. It's required. It's like the spice melange. And you notice that other countries that do not think this way, that do not do this shit, aren't struggling with producing quality content. Then we have South Korea, we got China, we got Japan. Like they're starting to rival with the United States. And it's not because the United States is, it's not because the other countries are doing better. It's because the United States is doing poorer. So when it comes to this stuff, right? Like what they do is the first thing, like they remove every single heteronormativity that they can, right? So we saw it with Borderlands. They're doing it here. I was watching recently The Orville again, and I was watching recently Cobra Kai, and they actually cast beautiful actors, right? Like they cast beautiful men and they cast beautiful women because aesthetics are pleasing and it actually attracts the audience and you know, especially young men. Like that's what they want. They want to see sex and violence. But modern diversity tactics means to remove any type of fan service that caters to straight men. Like fan service that caters to gay people is fine. Like you can show big cocks like they did in House of Dragon or The Boys or other video games. Like it's fine to show masculine men like in The Acolyte. It's fine to show, you know, Sauron actually having a romance story, and right? But they don't want to show femininity. Like, they don't actually want to show a sexy female character that's sensual, like she's acting as a woman, she's feminine. That is not allowed. So all of a sudden, like, they're alienating a big chunk of their audience, and they keep going forward, right? Like, adding diversity where it doesn't make sense. Now we're going to have hobbits, even though we shouldn't, but, like, they're going to be diverse. So instead of, like, creating rich and interesting stories, like in The Lord of the Rings, for instance, you actually have an area with desert, and the people there, they ally with Sauron, and it would be interesting to actually see their story. Or with pirates. No, like, they're just going to take things like elves, and now we have black elves that we pretend that they always were there, and it's just immersion breaking, because it reminds you about the corporate side of things. It reminds you that the reason you have black elves there is not because the story would be more interesting, or that they had, like, an explanation for it. No, it's because it's made in modern day, for the modern audience, right? It's corporate. It's sanitized. And this, like, breaks immersion, so you're alienating more audience. And then you can't have any sexist jokes, you can't have any, and even, like, conversations about race, which Lord of the Rings actually does have. Like, you have the dwarves and the elves that have animosity towards each other, but they're willing to put aside their differences in order to fight against Sauron, and that creates interesting drama. They can't do that, right? So you end up with something boring, stale, almost like a cookie-cutter corporate thing. And people don't like it. Like, people don't tune up, and they don't want to they don't want to see your production, even if you invest hundreds of millions of dollars in it. Now, there are YouTubers like myself that are pointing out these obvious things, and they are obvious because we actually get followers. Like, if I was to complain about the fact that chocolate is too sweet, I wouldn't get anyone watching because people don't relate with me. Right? So, like, just because, like, you have a YouTube channel and you're talking about something doesn't mean that people are going to come and listen if what you're talking about is not resonating with anyone. But the fact that there are YouTube channels with millions of dollars and zero advertisement goes to show that, no, like, this is what people actually feel. So what does Amazon do? Do they think about, all right, well, maybe we can change course, maybe we can correct course, maybe we can, like, do something different? No. What they do is they copyright the people that are complaining. So all of the channels that are criticizing this, they get copyrighted. And they also work with YouTube in order to delete comments, right? So as you can see here, YouTube has been deleting negative comments from this. And I'm pretty sure they're working with other websites like Rotten Tomatoes. So it's literally the way they're doing marketing now. Now, there are reasons for it. Like, from what I understand, there are governments that are willing to give tax breaks if you film the movie with a specific story that pushes for diversity. There are ESG funds in play that, again, like, they give you the funds if you're pushing for diversity and stuff like that. But, like, you can still make movies that have diversity and are good. Like, the 90s made a lot of them. But for some reason, I think, like, in order for them to get the loans, they need to hire the consultants. So it's not enough to just cast black people. No, you need to cast it in a way that the consultants want it to be cast. It's got to be authentic, they call it. So this is why it keeps happening. Because if you look like Demolition Man, right? Like, that has diversity in it. But of course, like, they wouldn't like that because it's not the correct diversity. And then you also have The Predator. But again, like, they don't like that because, like, yeah, you have a black character there, but, like, it doesn't make it obvious, it's not authentic. Occasionally, though, like, they do make good TV shows with diversity, like Cobra Kai. I don't know how they managed to pull it off, like how they managed to maintain the spirit of the story and the lore, and it does show that if you actually maintain true to the essence of what the thing is, people will still buy it. It's fucking Cobra Kai. Out of all the things, Karate Kid was probably the last on my list to be successful. But here we go. So you have, like, Karate Kid that's successful, and Lord of the Rings, which is probably the easiest thing to pull off if you have money for the special effects. This is the easiest thing. It's just like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. You have a couple of races, and they're banding together, and they're fighting evil. Like, it's not rocket science. Just make them fight some orcs, and there you go. But no, like, they managed to fuck this up. I don't know how they did it, but yay and behold.